Well, once upon a time, there was a man who had weed pulling on his job list. On a sweltering summer day, he went outside and began that work. There were a lot of weeds, and in a very short while, the man was hot and sweaty, and he began to daydream about being in the house with air conditioning and a tall glass of lemonade. And pretty soon the man stopped weeding, went inside, poured a glass of lemonade, and settled into a big easy chair in the cool of his living room. As he sipped his iced drink, he grabbed his tablet and looked up the word weed online and found it defined as any plant growing where it is not wanted. He put the tablet down, stared out a picture window to survey his yard, and said to himself, I think every plant in the yard stands exactly where I want it. So he checked weed pulling off his to-do list, went back to his easy chair, and another glass of lemonade. And for those of you wondering, that is not an autobiographic story. But I'm pretty sure that there's a part of all this that thinks about opting for comfort over hard work. And the story's meant to make us smile, but there's a sort of unstated moral to the humor in our smiling at how easy it is to give in to comfort. And probably the better part of the moral is found in the converse truth that it takes discipline to not give in so the hard work gets done. A huge part of it, of course, is disciplining ourselves to not rationalize skipping work that's required, even if it means discomfort. So I guess we could say the moral in the story is that nothing worthwhile comes easy. And as complicated as our lectionary text may seem, that simple moral, nothing worthwhile comes easy, can be heard as a primary driving idea behind that text. James is dealing with we don't need to do work attitudes. Presumably he's dealing with Christians that wanted to be comfortable and opt for a this is about me as an individual approach to religion. Today, self-centered theologies still exist. There are some where personal prosperity is the focus. The pitch appears to be faith, positive words, and offerings to the right church will cause God to increase our material wealth and security. That is a theology about being comfortable taking care of the one you see in the mirror that James referenced. It's about hearing and believing claims that God wants us to have an easy life and created a comfortable, easy way to get it. And if you buy in and believe and go to certain churches and bring them offerings, well, you are religious. And the religion you have is worthwhile, and you will get rich. It's a theology that allows the comfort of personal well-being without feeling much need to work on the weeds of injustice, on the suffering of others. It's a way quite different from Jesus' way and stains believers with worldly ways that quite ironically Jesus taught his followers to avoid. In fact, the only person Jesus ever turned away from his following was a rich man who refused to share his wealth with the poor. In theologies where there's no need to be doers of the word, as James called it, we end up with things like faith focused on personal prosperity and little need to do the uncomfortable work that prophets tell us to do. Things like seeking justice and loving kindness and walking humbly with God. When personal wealth is the goal of faith, there's also no need to be doers of Jesus' commands. There's no need to tend to the poor, to the sick, to the imprisoned, or to the stranger. There's no need to put the command to love your neighbor and to love enemies into action. Theologies that primarily tend to self and to love of self are off the mark. Our lectionary reading calls into question forms of Christianity that deny that Jesus' followers need to be doers of the word. And Jesus is the Word of God, as are the words from Micah on the quilts up here on the walls of our church. The verses from James directly challenge ideas of salvation by self-centeredness and faith alone as the Christian obligations. James challenges theologies that don't do the work of caring for the oppressed, which he names as orphans and widows in distress. James challenges theologies that stain Christians with worldly ways like greed and lack love, and my comfort comes first approaches to life. Be ye non-doers of God's work of caring and ending injustices is off the mark. Being stained by worldly greed and lack love for others is off the mark. In Bible languages, that's sinful stuff. Sin means to miss the mark. And when individuals and churches get comfort with take care of me theologies, the weeds of oppression do not get taken down, because the work of loving others does not get done. Justice is not sought. Kindness is not loved. God is not humbly walked with. In Jesus' way, like much of the Bible is about caring enough to work, to pull oppression out of society. That's not comfortable work, but it must be done. It takes hard work that faith, positive words, and mailing in checks will not accomplish. As the reading puts it, we must be doers of the word, not merely hearers who deceive themselves. And it's not just prosperity-oriented theologies that our lesson from James would read and follow challenges. There have long been other types of me-first religious theologies that skip over Jesus' love everyone commandments and foster or let anger against others abide. It's much easier to skip the love work that Jesus and the Bible command that we do. And so we hear theologies that are comfortable living with the weeds of hate or even nurturing them to grow where they stand. Hate can be found in many theologies against many people. Religious people can be heard touting hate for those of other faiths, those of other countries, those of other sexuality, those of other gender choices, those of other skin color, those of other economic status. Those deemed other are quickly and thoughtlessly and sordidly lashed out at in unmistakably unloving ways. As we heard in the lesson, Jesus tells Christians not only to be slow to anger, but points out in no uncertain terms that, quote, anger does not produce God's righteousness, end quote. All that anger of those who hate, despite what they might tell us and even truly believe, all that hate is not producing God's righteousness. It says that right there in the Bible in today's text. Instead, the messy weeds of hate exist, staining Jesus' followers. And many of the oppressing James Day represented by the orphans and widows in our lesson were hated and or not cared for. James challenges these types of let's take the easy route and not do the work of loving everyone theology. In James' self-centered look in the mirror and love me Christians were apparently around, as were the angry and hating types. See, in God's garden, people have long tried to say the weeds of self-centeredness and the weeds of hate are not weeds. But they are. Sitting back and being comfortable and pretending to be doers of the word by primarily tending to our own present life or our afterlife considerations will not cut it. Nor does lashing out in anger and hate. Hate has never, ever been Jesus' way. Instead, Jesus' way as he lived and taught it required a lot of hard work. Jesus' way, as we hear virtually every week in here, is all about love. And love is an action word. Love is action meant to be aimed not just at the people we see in the mirror or at our family dinner table. Love is an action meant to be aimed at all of. Jesus makes it clear that all others we not care for, want to not like, want to hate, those people we must care for and love. We must care for and love. And that makes us uncomfortable. It takes hard work to pull the weeds of uncaring. It takes hard work to pull the weeds of hate. But those nasty feelings against others that grow in the yard of life, Christians are called to get up out of our comfort zone and weed them out. Me-oriented theologies declare in one way or another that those weeds of hate are not weeds at all. It's something we can ignore or rename, or worse of all, nourish and have in the garden of life. And so instead of getting rid of hate, the claim is we don't need to. Sometimes the claim even becomes that hateful acts against others' well-being are actually acts of love. And so missions and ministries include lashing with tongues of hateful abuse is named as love. Evil often claims its acts are not evil. But as James puts it in the lesson, if any think they are religious and do not bridle their tongues but deceive their hearts, their religion is worthless. Religion done right acts loving, tending to the oppressed, and staying unstained by unholy worldly ways. As James writes, and we heard Cindy read, religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this: to care for orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself unstained by the world. Jesus commands us to love neighbor and enemies. Jesus tells us we are judged by how we care for the poor and the sick and the imprisoned and the stranger. And such as other religious people, we miss the mark plenty of times ourselves. It takes a lot of work to love our own family. It's easy enough to get comfortable just doing that. There's a part of all of us that would like to opt for the metaphoric easy chair and lemonade and a controlled climate over doing the hard work of loving and caring others. As Micah put it, seeking justice and loving kindness. Or as Jesus put it, loving neighbors and enemies. Or as James puts it in our lesson today, being doers of the word. The word being the Word of God, which is not the Bible per se, but the breath God uses to speak creation into being and guide us all the time for the well-being of all, which Christians experience swirling through our existence in Creator and Christ and Holy Spirit. In our Talking About God class last week, kind of like James does in our reading, we ended our session trying to put in the modern understanding how we could tell in our theology, our religion was on track with respect to others. And we came up with a formula which I'm wrapping up this sermon with. I think the formula dovetails nicely with our lesson. Here's my summary where I understood we ended up. Our religion done right is focusing on taking action toward a world where sufficient food, water, shelter, healthcare, and respect are one day provided to every person so that we all have well-being. Food, water, shelter, healthcare. All those are needed, but the formula is not complete without respect. At the end of the day, our religion done right must be about valuing each human being. It takes a lot of work to focus on doing religion that way. It's so much easier to not worry about the provision of necessities to others. And it's particularly easy to not respect others. It actually often feels hardest to provide respect to others, which is ironic because respect has very little, if any, material cost. It does, though, require a lot of uncomfortable and hard work. Being doers of the word is difficult. And may we all strive to be such doers, so that one day all